All right, hello everybody. Today we are gonna talk about arrays. Now, we've already gone over arrays a couple weeks ago when we talked about multiplication, but I want to do some more practice with arrays because that is what your activities for today is going to be about. So, we'll start with what is an array. An array is an arrangement of equal groups of objects in rows or columns. Remember, we have rows that go left to right, and we have columns that go up and down. But the important word right here is this word right here, equal. Okay, that means it has to be the same amount of groups of objects in rows and columns. So I couldn't have like 5 triangles right here, 4 right here, and then 2 right here. That wouldn't make it an array. So if we look down here, we see a multiplication problem and it says 3 times 5. If we wanted to figure out the answer, all we would have to do is count how many triangles were in here. But let's see, how did they get 3 times 5? Where did those numbers come from? Well, it looks like they got their first number from counting how many columns. That means how many go up and down. So let's start with how many go up and down. Or, sorry, not columns, but they look like they started it with how many rows. So that goes left and right. That's where they got that 3 from. So let's see how many rows there are. We don't want to know how many triangles there are in each row. We want to know how many rows there are. So this is 1 row. So that's 1. So how many rows do we have? If that's 1, how many more do we have? We have 1. We have 2. And then we have 3. And that is where they got their 3 from. Now, we can't just say we have 3 because that's not right. We have 3 times something. So where did they get that 5 from? Well, if we already counted our left to right, then now we need to count how many we have up and down. So you go ahead and count. How many columns do we have? Go ahead and count. So again, we're not counting how many triangles. We're counting columns. So we have 1. Then we have 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. So that's the same if you was to look over here at this red one. So again, it starts with how many rows. Rows go left to right. So let's count our rows. Here we go. Ready? That's 1, 2. So they wrote their first number 2. Now we're doing arrays, so we're doing multiplication, so they have to write that times. Now let's count how many columns. 1, 2, 3. That's where they got 2 times 3. We'll do one more, and then I'm going to go look at the work that you guys have, the assignments that you have for today. So again, let's start with how many rows we have. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where they got their 4 from. Where'd they get this 5 from? What did they have to count for the 5? They had to count the columns that go up and down. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great job. Now, if you want to know the answer, because when you guys have to do, for your assignment, you're going to actually have to tell me the answer. So if you don't know, if you know your multiplication, then you can just easily do it. Like, I know that 5 times 3 is 15 because I can say 5, 10, 15. 3 groups of 5 equals 15, right? If I didn't know how to do that, then I could also come and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's another way I could do it. I could come over here and I can say 2. So I can say 2, 4, 6. So I know that my answer is 6. Or if I don't know how to do that, I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same with down here. I can count by 5s if I know how to count by 5s because I know that each row has 5. So I can say 5, 10, 15, 20, or I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 20. Okay? Okay. So this is the same thing that we just did. It just looks a little bit different. This is for your work for today. We're going to do a couple of these together, and then I'm gonna assign for the rest of you guys to do the rest of them. And then you have another sheet that is kind of like this, and I'll go over as well. So the first thing that we do, of course, it wants us to write a number sentence for each array. So first we look at our rows. That's where we get our first number from. So we have 1 row and we have 2 rows. So I know I can write 2 here. Remember, we're doing multiplication, so we have to make sure that we put our times. So I got to find our times. And you can just do an X. 2 times. Now let's count our columns. 1, 2, 3. So 2 times 3, then we have to say equals. I know I can say 2, 4, 6. So I know that that's going to be 6. If you didn't, though, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now let's do the same for this one. So again, we have to, let's start with our rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what number would I write first? I'd write 5. Then I can do my X for my multiplication. What do I count next? I already counted left to right, so where do I count next? Up and down. So I need to see how many comes up and down. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my second number would be 6. I need to figure out what it equals. If I know how to count by 5s, I can do it real quick and I can say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And I know easy peasy, that's 30. If you don't know how to do that, what's another way you can do it? If you know how to count by 6s, you can count by your 6s. 6, 12, 18. Or, like I said, you can count by 1, 2, 3, 4, however you want to do it. All right, we'll do one more of these together, and then you're going to do the rest by yourself. So, what's first? What do we start at first? We want to look at our rows, left to right. So that's 1, 2, 3. So our first number we're going to write is 3. Don't forget your multiplication. Then we have to count what next? Right, your columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you know how to count by your 3s, then you can count by your 3s. If you know how to count by 8, you can count by your 8s. Or if you have to count by 1s, you can count by your 1s. So go ahead and figure out what you get and say your answer out loud. All right, well, hopefully everybody got 24. So that is what you guys are going to do for the rest of these problems, okay? And if you didn't understand that, you can always go back and watch the video as many times as you need to. Now let's look at this one. Now this one is basically the same, except for it wants you to write an addition sentence as well. And I'm going to explain to you how we're going to write this addition sentence, okay? So first things first, we're going to start with our multiplication sentence. So our first multiplication sentence, we would have, what do we count first? We're going to count our rows, left to right. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3. So we're going to write a 3 right there. Don't forget your times. If you don't put that times right there, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. I'm going to think you're just writing one big number. What do we count next? We have to count our columns that go up and down. So now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 times 4 equals, what does it equal? 3, 6, 9, 12. Now it wants an addition sentence. How in the world would I write an addition sentence? Well, what you can do is look at your first number and write that number as many times as you see that second number. So my thing is, so if you're looking at, well, let's look at our rows. How about that? Look at your rows. How many do you see in your row? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write 4. How many rows of 4 is there? There's 3. So that means that 4, now look over here because now I'm going to write a plus sign. So that means 4 plus another 4 plus another 4 equals 12. Does that make sense? Let's do one more. Let's do this one down here. So let's do our multiplication. So our multiplication is, we count our rows first. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to write our 3 right here. Don't forget your times. Now we have to count how many columns do we have. 1, 2, 3. Don't forget your 3. How many does that equal altogether? 3, 6, 9. You write your 9. If I come over here and I want to write my addition problem, then I would start. How many do I have? In each row, how many do I have? Now, when we did our multiplication, we just counted the whole row. When we're doing our addition, we want to count individually. So you have 1, 2, 3. So I know that 3, I'm going to have to write my plus sign after it. 3 plus another 1, 2, 3. So 3 plus 3, but I can't forget this row either, plus 3 is going to equal 9. Your answer right here should be the same in both boxes. If it's not the same, that means you did something wrong. Okay? All right, so that is it for today. Let me know if you guys have any problems with any of the assignments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.